let him cook. Per Ian Rapoport, Nick Caserio could be making a move around the NFL trade deadline. And I'm telling you right now, if it's anything like the NFL draft, you know this man right here. He's wheeling, he's dealing, he's got the phone lines all open, and he's ready to make things happen. Don't take my word for it. Let's see what Ian Rapoport had to say on a possible Texans move. General Manager Nick Caserio is someone who has never been shy about making a trade. If Diggs has to miss an extended period of time, no doubt he is going to be working the phones to see if a trade is possible. And I don't think this is just lip service. As somebody like Ian Rapoport, who's as well connected, who knows as much as he knows about the NFL, about the stuff that the rest of us really don't know about, I don't think he's just going to throw that out and just say, oh, yeah, the Texans are possibly making a trade. Nick Caserio, he could be working the phone lines if he doesn't have a little bit of an inkling, if he doesn't have a little bit of a suspicion, a little bit of maybe some inside information about the Texans making a move near the trade deadline. So I'm going to be breaking down some possible trade targets. But before we get started, help this channel grow. We are so close to 20K. We are 493 away, but who's counting? Go ahead and go share today's video. I don't care how you share it. Tag me on Twitter, X, whatever you like to call it, at Jeremy Chuggs. Share it to Facebook. Share it to Instagram. Share it in your group text. Email it to your grandmother. Send it in a blockchain. I don't care how you do it. Share today's video. Let's get this thing out there. Help me grow the channel, and let's get to 20K subs. If you haven't subscribed already, free Texans content all year long. Let's look at the offensive side of the football first. And I'm going to cheat with my first one. I'm going to go Browns guards because Kenyon Green, Shaq Mason, they have disgusted me the past couple of weeks with their play for this Texans offensive line. Up against the Packers, I mean, it was atrocious. It was absolutely atrocious. And then this past Sunday up against the Colts, both these guys did not look good. So why not go out and target maybe a team that's going to have a fire sale like the Cleveland Browns? Wyatt Teller returning from injury, the 29-year-old, could be an option for the Texans as the Browns seem to be kind of headed towards that, T word, the tank, and trying to lose games, trying to gain draft capital, and trying to see what they're going to do next year because they have Deshaun Watson on the books. Jameis Winston, okay, but he's really not the future either. Could they look to maybe get more draft capital this offseason, build that team up, or possibly even draft a quarterback? Also, the other guard that I'm looking at from the Cleveland Browns, Joel Bitonio, a little bit older, in his 30s, a little longer in the tooth, obviously, but another really good guard option if the Texans are looking to beef up the interior of this offensive line. Let's go to my second trade target for the Houston Texans. It's going to be Dylan Parham, offensive lineman from the Las Vegas Raiders. He's played 7 games this year, 1 sack allowed for Las Vegas. And the thing with Parham is, I don't know how much he's gelling with the coaching staff in Las Vegas. He got benched earlier in the year, has been dealing with some, health issues as well, some, injuries and stuff that's kind of had him sidelined from here and there. But I don't know. The Raiders look like they're also trying to look towards the future, look towards this year's draft, and they could be looking for more draft capital as well to move up and get a quarterback this year. Dylan Parham, I think he's a very versatile interior offensive lineman. He can play center. He can play guard. I think he's a good option. I like him better than Kenyon Green at this point for the left guard spot. So if the Texans are looking at another O-line option, maybe Dylan Parham. But I have a question for you real quick. If the Texans make a trade, what position is it going to be for? Do you think it'll be an offensive lineman? Do you think it'll be a wide receiver? Maybe something on the defensive side of the football? Let me know down in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you go to YouTube ad break here, perfect timing. Scroll on down and let me know what position the Texans would trade for. I think it's going to be offensive line. So that's my third trade target on the offensive side of the football. I'm going to go with Mike Onwenu, guard from the New England Patriots. And maybe, flex out, play a little bit of tackle as well. We know the Patriots are obviously in a fire sale. They traded, an edge rusher for a 6th-round pick in the 2025 NFL draft to the Chiefs. I mean, they are in full tank fire sale mode. The only reason why I'm a little bit hesitant that they'll trade Onwenu is he is a little bit on the younger side, and you have a young quarterback in Drake May. So are they really willing to just kind of throw him to the Wolves and say, F it, we don't care who's blocking for you this year. We're looking forward to the next year, Drake. I don't know if that's the case, but if they are willing to trade Mike Onwenu, I am pouncing on that if I am Nick Caserio. We talked about the big boys. Now let's talk about the wide receiver position. And reminder, I'm filming this on Wednesday, so this is before any news has broken out about, Stefon Diggs and the severity of his injury. But if he is going to miss a significant amount of time, maybe you call up the Panthers and Diontae Johnson. He's on the final year of his contract. Could be a decent option for the Texans if they're trying to make a run this year. If they're like, hey, it's Super Bowl this season. We're going full steam ahead. We're going all in this season. Not Jerry Jones Cowboys all in, but like the real all in, where you push all your chips to the middle of the table. The Texans are looking to do that. Diontae Johnson could be a good name. There's been multiple reports that he's going to be traded near the NFL trade deadline. Why not the Houston Texans if they need that help? Another wide receiver that could be an option, Mike Williams of the New York Jets. Obviously, the Jets, they traded for Davante Adams. So could they look to move on from Mike Williams? He was obviously not happy after the trade. Aaron Rodgers kind of came out and spoke about, his displeasure with Mike Williams and their connection. So could Williams look like he's on his way out of New York, and could the Texans be a landing spot? I don't love the idea of trading for Mike Williams. I'd rather just give the opportunity to Xavier Hutchinson or John Mechie, but another trade target if you're looking at the wide receiver position for the Houston Texans. I have some defensive players we got to look at in just a moment, but couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsors over at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app for good reason. Basketball, it's back, baby, and get started with the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there for any sport. Football, basketball, baseball. Turn your sports knowledge into some cold, hard cash. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And speaking of daily fantasy sports, I actually have a decent option for the Texans. They play on Thursday night. They play on Halloween. Maybe you want to use this lineup. CJ Stroud, his current projection, 222.5 pass yards. Yeah, give me the more on that. Tank Dell, 4.5 receptions. With all the injuries to the wide receiver spot, he better get more than 4.5 receptions if the Texans are going to beat the Jets this Thursday night. And Joe Mixon, 104.5 rush and receiving yards. He's cleared that in every single game that he has played the full game this season. So yeah, give me the more on that as well. Use my picks. Fade my picks. Just do it over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So get started today with Prize Picks. Run your game. Defensive side of the ball. Let's look first at the secondary. Tre'Davious White has been granted the ability to look for a trade by the Los Angeles Rams. So why not the Texans possibly add some depth to that cornerback position? Kamari Lassiter has been awesome. Derek Stingley has been really good this year. I'm not looking for a starting style cornerback. I just need somebody supplementary. If one of those guys gets injured or if they need a break, somebody who I feel comfortable putting in there. D'Angelo Ross has been a roller coaster ride for this Texans team, has looked good and has looked really bad. So they could look to add a defensive back. That's why the second guy on my list is Jonathan Jones of the New England Patriots. Like I said earlier about Mike Onwenu, a fire sale could be happening in New England. And I think this one's actually a lot more likely than the offensive lineman. Jonathan Jones, a little bit older, in his 30s, still playing good ball, but the Patriots, they're going young. They're looking to build for the future, and he doesn't really fit with that timeline. Could they look to move on from Jonathan Jones? A decent option if you're looking for depth in that secondary. Looking at the safety position now, how about Xavier Woods of the Carolina Panthers? He has, been around the league for a little bit, but honestly, not that old. Still on the right side of 30 is Xavier Woods. I think he could be another good option for this Texans team. 56 tackles, 1 interception, 2 pass breakups for Xavier Woods this season. I think he could fit in. Obviously, he's a starter, but not, going to overshadow guys that we already have because, in my opinion, I kind of like what the Texans have in Eric Murray and Kalen Bullock with Jimmy Ward being out. I think they've both played pretty decently. So a guy like Xavier Woods, I think, could come in and be, a rotation guy for the Texans, or possibly if they don't want to, spend the draft capital on Xavier Woods, they honestly could just sign a safety that's out there and just add him to the rotation for this team because, like I said, I really like Eric Murray and Kalen Bullock. I know it's been mixed opinions, especially on Eric Murray, but I want you to go down and grade the duo of Eric Murray and Kalen Bullock at the safety spot. I know Jalen Petre's been playing really good, but he plays more of like a nickel slot star role. I'm talking about the two guys in the back. Eric Murray, Kalen Bullock. Grade them on their play so far this season, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give it like a B. I think, Kalen Bullock is a rookie. He's gotten a lot of turnovers. Eric Murray has played well from time to time. Obviously, they've had some plays where they've gotten beat, so can't give them an A, but I think they've played really well for this Texans team this season. So give me a B for the safety duo for the Houston Texans so far. Let's look at the defensive line. I'm going to go with Emmanuel Ogbah, defensive end from the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, not a huge need. I think the Texans have the best pass rush duo in the entire NFL. If you're just talking about pick two pass rushers on any team, I would put Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter up there with any two pass rushers from any team in the entire National Football League. But if you're looking for somebody to, step in and be a rotational guy, maybe a little bit more juice off the edge for this Texans team when Danielle Hunter needs a break, or Will Anderson, whenever he's, needs a break from being an absolute beast, Emmanuel Ogbah could be a good option with the Dolphins. Re-sign with them hasn't looked amazing this year, but a good player if the Texans want to add some depth on that defensive line. And I saved the craziest one for last. Jeffery Simmons, defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans. I know he's not happy in Tennessee. I know that he himself would probably like to play for a contender this season. I know it's difficult because they're also in the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans. So I don't know if they're willing to trade to the Houston Texans. But if you're willing to make this move, if you're Nick Caserio, that is putting it on the table. That is saying we are going for broke this season. We are going for absolutely everything. We want to win the Super Bowl. And, the defensive line, if you add Jeffery Simmons to this unit, holy crap. This could be up there with some of the best defensive lines ever to play. If you add Jeffery Simmons to this defensive line, it is like the Giants whenever they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl with that insanely stacked unit that they had with Umenyiora and Michael Strahan and all the JPP, all those guys that they had. That's the type of defensive line the Texans could have if they add somebody like Jeffery Simmons. Do they absolutely need him? No, you have Danico Autry, Foley Fatukasi, Tim Settle, Mario Edwards. So I don't think it happens, but just the possibility of that, just the idea of that possibly happening gives me chills because this Texans D-line, I think, would be one of the best ever in the NFL if they added a guy like Jeffery Simmons. That's all I have for you on today's show. Make sure to hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs for the latest Texans news and rumors. Dankest memes on the internet. I got you covered. And like I said, we're trying to get to 20K. We'll have a live show Thursday night. Jets, Texans, spooky Halloween edition at MetLife Stadium. Be there, be square. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on your noties, and as always, let's go Texans.